family, it's that time of year again. Feast of Tabernacles. You can visit www.straightwaynetwork.com for all up-to-date information about the feast. You have easy access. Just click the feast banner at the top of the homepage. Saints, make sure you check over your vehicle before driving to the feast and drive safe on the way here. When you turn on Pumpkintown Lane, stay off the neighbors' driveways and yards. Orientation will be held at the shop on the top of the hill. Are you ready to start your morning worshiping and praising the Most High? Pastor Corey will be hosting morning prayer with the saints in the tabernacle. Saints will be selling an array of products at Straightway Marketplace and Children's Marketplace. Wi-Fi access is limited. Please make sure to bring cash for purchases. Held in the downhill dining hall, and the Children's Marketplace will be held outside. Make sure to visit www.straightwaynetwork.com prior and during the feast for the most up-to-date schedules for the feast. Whether you are donating or shopping, come visit us at Judah's Closet. Gather up your donations and bring them to the feast with you. Please make sure all items are clean and acceptable for your brothers and sisters. On your mark, get set, go! The track is screaming, the engines are roaring, and the Hot Wheels are flying. This race is for the championship, and reigning champion, Brother Emmanuel, is here to defend his title. Join us for this year's Hot Wheel race in the Fellowship Hall. We look forward to praising Yah with you at Midnight Air this year. It will be located at the shop at the top of the hill. There will be music and food booths. Make sure to bring cash donations for each food booth that you visit. Come join Mama Nellie, Mama Bridget, and Sister Jasmine in the Tabernacle this year for a very informative perimenopausal and menopause class. Join Sister Gabby for 2 special classes in the Tabernacle: pregnancy, labor, and postpartum care. Sister Gabby will share her extensive knowledge on the journey of motherhood, breastfeeding, and newborn health. Learn about breastfeeding and hear from special guest Pastor Corey on circumcision. Don't miss these informative classes. We hope that you've RSVP'd for the Daughters of Zion Tea Party. Tea Party attire is requested. There will be refreshments, special guest speakers, and fellowship. If you desire to donate, please use the Amazon gift list code TEAPARTY25. Step into the ring and train with the best. Brother Elijah will be teaching a boxing class at the Feast of Tabernacles. Come get your hands up and learn how to defend. Ready to level up your ground game? Don't miss out on Brother Abraham's Jiu-Jitsu training. Brother Baldwin invites you to a 2-day law class located in the Tabernacle. Join us at the Feast of Tabernacles Career Fair, hosted by Michael Israel. This isn't just a job fair. It's a chance to explore real hands-on careers that build the world around us. Come and get educated on exciting trade-based professions like electrician, plumbing, IT specialist, auto mechanic, and many more. There will also be a special health and wellness class taught by Michael Israel. You'll learn new information about reversing joint dysfunction, overcoming disease, and boosting your energy levels. This class is more than just a class. It's about learning to take care of the temple you've been given. Brothers and sisters, if you have any announcements or would like to add an event to the schedule, please get approval from Pastor and contact Michael Israel. The saints that are coming, please be mindful that viruses are on the rise around this time of the year. Please go to www.householdherbs.com to stock up on Immunity Shield tinctures. We suggest taking maintenance doses starting 2 weeks prior to the feast, during the feast, and 2 weeks after. Important announcements. Please be aware that Straightway is a private ministry. To attend, you will need approval. Please call the dining hall at 615-688-3025. When you arrive on the land, you will see a checkpoint banner to check in. You will be given a wristband that must be worn at all times. If you do not have a wristband on, you are subject to be stopped by security for identification purposes. If there are any changes to your check-in and out dates, please contact Brother Brad to update. Before leaving the land, make sure to stop and check out so that we can have an appropriate head count for the remainder of the feast. Feast announcements and itinerary updates will be posted on www.straightwaynetwork.com as it becomes available. Bless you all, saints.
Here we go. Shalom, shalom, shalom. It's Michael Israel. You are watching Ask the Elect. Today, it's just going to be me, pastor. The pastors are all very busy. As you can see, the feast is fast approaching. There is something for everyone at that feast. You see all the things that are going to be going on, and there's going to be other events and stuff going on that is have not yet made it to the commercial, or they're just not going to be advertised by a commercial. It's going to be an awesome feast. Want to encourage you, saints, to start. Make sure you're prepared weather-wise. Especially if you're coming from the south, just to let y'all know, some of the mornings here, it is 50 degrees, some mornings. So, you want to bring your, 40 to 50 degree weather clothing and tent supplies like propane and stuff like that. Make sure you're prepared, and you should start doing it now, because this month is going to go by. It's going to feel like a week went by. Okay. So you definitely want to be prepared for this feast. Okay. And, get preparation is key. Be prudent. But yeah, so the pastors, they're not here today, but what I was going to talk about on here, I'm not going to be on here very long. What I was going to talk about this evening is some of the information, some of the teachings that some of the pastors put out this week. Pastor Corey has put out some videos, and Pastor Dow put out a real good video. I think it was this morning, where he was talking about just discipline and masculinity, and just really he was talking about how he had some conversations with, I want to say it was Elder Kabir, Elder Rob, some of the brothers who had high level professional careers where they reached the top of their professions in very challenging careers, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's football or military. And I mean, he had some really heavy things to bring forth in that video, in that lesson he did. And one of the things I wrote here, took some notes of. Pastor said, we must be men of discipline, not men of emotion. Okay. And that's a good, man. You get a shirt made of that. Men of discipline, not men of emotion, because, in order to, the reason why like sports and the military are such good areas to see the essence of just just having a righteous biblical mindset is because they're extreme environments. You're under a lot of pressure. It can be stressful. If you watch people who play sports on a high level, you're out there, you want to win, you don't want to mess up. And it's a battle in here. It's a battle in your mind with your thoughts, feelings, emotions. When you read the word, you go all through the word. There's a lot of military and battle analogies and sayings and just a lot of stuff. It talks about endure hardness as a good soldier. Something else it says is the Lord is a man of warrior. Who is his name? You just go through, and it's just a lot of military mindsets being pushed there. Okay. Um, and, so I'm saying all that because naturally, getting an opportunity to talk to people who have functioned on these high levels, you know, when these types of people read the word, they can really relate to a lot of stuff in there because, again, when you read the word of Yah, that is high level spiritual. And the spiritual, some people did it as a sport. They played professional sports, played it on a high level. Some people were in the military, operate a high level. But the spiritual warfare and the spiritual combat is on a whole nother area. But it directly correlates with the mindsets that you would learn and develop in some of these other areas. So just saying all that, it helps. It helps as a leader to have had these experiences. Another thing Pastor talked about in that video, it was almost like he laid out a recipe for basically success and a recipe to overcome. Okay. And what he talked about was repetition, discipline, consistency, and mastering the basics. Okay. And, I've talked to some of the brothers in the ministry who have functioned at high levels in some of these areas, in professional sports and in the military. And this is, you literally hear them say the same recipe, that repetition, the consistency. I talk about commitment to consistency. And then one of the major, and I'm gonna be going into I'm gonna be talking about dysfunction here in a little bit, but one of the major hurdles to being able to practice this little formula I laid out, or that Pastor laid out in his video: repetition, discipline, consistency, and mastering the basics. One of the major hurdles you have to overcome is emotions. Not putting your emotions on a pedestal, but now, if you're in professional sports or in the military, you put whatever the objective in that is. Us, we're on a spiritual level. So what it's about is your putting the word on the pedestal and pulling your emotions off it, And this is why a lot of people who come out of these high levels of operation, they get it. They understand what it's going to take to be successful on a spiritual level. Okay. So we're going to get into that a little bit more a little later. Let's see what else Chef said in that video. So that's going to take me to another video. Okay, that's all. And that was Pastor Corey's video. And Pastor Corey did a very good video. And I know it was the spirit because, and that goes with both of these videos, because what Pastor was talking about in that video, man, I talk about a lot. And what Pastor Corey spoke on in his video, I actually had written out, and I actually had already done a video kind of tying in to what he was saying. And this is a piece of what he was saying in his video, and it was concerning dysfunction, operating in dysfunction. And in Pastor Corey's video, he was basically saying when you operate, like operating in dysfunction is wickedness, basically. Like, and what I was saying in my video concerning dysfunction is how Satan comes, and especially among the saints, where he can't do a frontal assault like he does with the heathen out there and just hit you head on with, you know, some worldly stuff. No, we're aware of the law, statutes, commandments. We're locked into this word. But the way Satan comes in and undermines stuff is through dysfunction. Okay. Having a dysfunctional mindset, just things going on that are not functioning effectively and efficiently. And we're going to get into that. That's one of the things I want to just go through. I actually on I think it was first day, I did or it might have been Shabbat morning, I did a whole video on this, but I just never uploaded. And I was planning on doing a show on Monday, too busy. Tuesday, too busy. And then, you know, I talked to the pastors today. They said, you know, they're busy. They got things going on. I said, hey, I got a little something I come on and say. So I'm going through some of that stuff. And it directly ties into, like I said, what the pastors were talking about earlier this week. And I think one of them uploaded the video today. But we're going to get into it. And we're going to start with Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. It says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Okay. We're going to, I'm going to give you a breakdown of that from the Easy English Bible. This breaks it all the way down. Okay. In real simple understanding. And that same verse, what it says in the Easy English Bible, it says, be very careful to keep your mind safe. The thoughts that you think make you the person that you are. Okay. So it's gonna all boil down to thoughts, being aware of what you're thinking. Okay. And even, you know, that verse and what we're talking about today, it all ties into what we started talking about in the beginning, you know, being able to function on this level and operate with consistency, a commitment to consistency, being disciplined, and not being in your emotions, but being about the Father's business. Okay. So it's all going to tie in. To somebody who's been living dysfunctionally, when they are put in an environment to live functionally, it can seem oppressive, but really it isn't. You know, I hear a lot of people, I listen to, you know, I hear people say, oh, this is oppressive. Oh, you know, you hear people coming out doing videos. Oh, straight ways oppressive. This, that, this, the other, and you can be deceived by your own thoughts. You can, and this is something Pastor Corey talked about in his video. people coming in being completely unaware that they're operating in dysfunction. And what Pastor Corey was saying was a man of discernment. You're dysfunctional. You come before a man of discernment who could discern what's operating in you more than you can see it operating in you. And people, and this is why you have to humble yourself, because people can be sincerely convinced that they're right, and it's not them, it's you, but you could be sincerely wrong. And this is where humility comes in, where you have to be able to, in the midst of that emotional storm of thoughts, feelings, and emotions, you have to be able to click over and look at and consider what's being said. Like, this is, if you can cultivate that, I think everything else is downhill from there. You're not going to have a hard time. There is hope. Like, you're over the major hurdle, but this is the major hurdle. How do I know? Because I've wrestled with it. That flesh don't die easy. That's why you got to kill it. And that's why they tell you, die to self. It literally feels like that. It don't want to go away. But that ability, the ability to say, I know I'm automatic, almost like a knee-jerk automatic response. I'm wanting to say this, but could it be me? Or is part of this me? Because this is what it's about, is looking at yourself. This whole walk is about working your salvation out with fear and trembling. On Judgment Day, you have to answer for, what you did. And this is why, man, we're going to get into offense, because I think there's a huge misunderstanding on it. Because this is why it's so deceptive. If you don't know how to look at yourself, if you don't know how to look within, if you don't know how to observe your thoughts, and not just observe your thoughts in peacetime, if you don't know how to just hold yourself and be patient, in your spirit, possess your soul. If you don't know how to do that in some of these situations, you are gonna you're gonna have an offense. And I have to break down what I mean when I say offense, because a lot of people don't understand it. Okay, because there's a worldly definition of offense. And the worldly definition of offense is annoyance or resentment brought about by a perceived insult to or disregard for oneself or one's standard of principles. So offense, okay, is resentment. And it's a feeling, emotion. Okay, but the biblical definition of offense, particularly where it says, woe to those who, from whom that the offenses come. The biblical definition of that is causing someone to stumble into sin. And in fact, the Greek word that's used there is scandalon or scandalo, and is where they got the English word scandal from. So that biblical meaning of that word offense is to cause someone to stumble. It's to cause, it's almost like to set a snare, a trap for someone. Okay? But sometimes people will kind of mix that word up with bitterness, like being bitter and having offense that way. But that's the English meaning of that word. But going back to what I'm saying is, if you don't know how to look at yourself, you're gonna trip over one of these stumbling blocks that are being set up out here, where people are getting caught up in offenses. And again, when I say offense, I'm using the Greek meaning. They're getting caught in traps and snares because they don't know how to look at themselves. They're letting their carnal nature lead them. They don't know how to hit the pause button and look around and see what's going on. Okay, so it's critical. Like, and I'm trying to keep it here because look, I've witnessed this thing firsthand, where people, that flesh is ruling so hard. Like, people are led by it. What do I mean when I say led by it? Led by the flesh? When I say led by the flesh, I mean you're not putting these thoughts, feelings, emotions, or impulses, you're not putting them under any type of scrutiny or biblical consideration or anything like that. You're just, they pop up, you trust it, I feel it, it's real, and boom, and you're running with it. And the word doesn't tell us to operate that way. And that is the nucleus where dysfunction begins to develop. Okay. So what I wrote here is going from dysfunction to function. So operating in dysfunction and going to being functional is being molded. And a lot of people who don't want to be molded try to call it oppressive and not free. Like when you're made, and this is something Pastor Corey was talking about, like, rebuke or correction or something. And it can be uncomfortable, but we have to learn, like, the growth and development happens in that furnace of adversity. That's where it happens at, in that discomfort. And just sitting still and not reacting to these thoughts, feelings, emotions, impulses, and stuff like that. That could be, if you don't scrutinize them and you're not looking, some of these thoughts, feelings, emotions are coming from Satan. And if you're locked into that word and you're full of that word and you're tuned into the Holy Spirit, you're gonna see. It's not gonna be hard to make you see. Hey, that ain't book. Hey, that's as you do that over a period of time, a separation begins to grow between those impulses and them strong thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You begin to condition a righteous response in there. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what we got. Okay. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. Okay. The Most High will guide your path. You can't lean to your own understanding. And it can be tough where, hey, I grew up 20, 30 years leaning on my own understanding, but like me, I got humiliated, and I could see just going through my life that something was off, and something was off with me. And like that is half the battle. That's like 60 to 70% of the battle is knowing, hey, something's off with me. And then the other portion of that is saying, hey, beginning to look and find the right way, the right mindset, the righteous mindset. Because, and you have to seek the Father and pray for him to show this, because if you don't, look, you gotta you gotta hate this about yourself. These areas that don't line up with y'all, you gotta get angry and upset and sick and tired of these things operating in you. These thoughts, feelings, emotions, impulses, spirits, mindsets, and stuff that are contrary to the word. And how are you going to know that? You got to have enough of this word in you to see that you're off. Then there's not going to be all these, this is dysfunctional, this is oppressive. Listen, the word of Yah is oppressive to that carnal nature. And when you're in league with it, you're gonna articulate it. Because look, check this out, man. I be hearing these people talk. I say this all the time, man. These folks be doing these videos talking about this, that. I've seen people get rebuked and hear them buck against it. And I'd be like, man, that's funny. I was like, that's the same impulse and excuse and thing that was getting submitted to my mind when I got corrected about something similar, but I didn't run with it. You see what I'm saying? But it says, Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Look, y'all, I am the ultimate. Like, if y'all have ever been around me, man, I'm all like, I'm analytical. Like, I'm a thinker, problem solver. I'm a mechanic by trade. Like, I like solving and thinking and being locked in. But look, you like the man. Here I am with all this gray hair. I'm 50 now, almost 50. And I know that the Most High has shown me recently that he opens these doors and he closes them. Ain't no amount of problem solving or thinking or nothing that's going to change that. And he's humbled me. I've seen it. And you're not going to outthink Yah. And it's like it says in the word, man, more stuff is shown to us than we're going to be able to understand. And like, because again, I'm very, like, I'm all about challenges and I pushing through stuff, pushing. But look, I've been in situations where the Most High has closed the door and you ain't gonna find a way around it, over it, through it, or anything. He done shut the door. Ain't no amount of thought or problem solving skills or anything gonna change it. And the door is shut. He's showing you, you're not going in there. You need to go this way. And over the years, it took many years, but over the years, I've learned. I realized, hey, the Most High, let him go. Just like it says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. That's it. It's real, man. You ain't gonna outthink it. You ain't gonna get around it. Getting to this level of being able to be led by the Spirit and not the flesh, getting to that level. One of the things I tell the brothers around here is like, hey, you don't understand the amount of effort required to bring success, like, or to grow or to develop, the amount of effort that needs to be put forth. Okay. Check out Hebrews chapter 12, verse 4. It says, ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. Like, man, they telling you gotta go hard in the paint on this thing. Let's keep reading this, see what else is in here. It says, and ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto ye as unto children, my son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. Look, like I'm just telling you my situation where the Most High was closing these doors. And I'm just telling you, in my life, I've seen the Most High communicates through situations and circumstances. And he was shutting these doors, and kept trying to open it. And then, like I said, I'm a little older and wiser now. I'm like, yeah, you're going to have to show me because I don't know. That's what my prayers sound like. Like, I don't know. I know I need to do this, but it's not happening. Like, show me what to do. Because it ain't me. Like, I can't figure this out and tried everything. Next thing you know, boom, I hear another door open. Metaphorically speaking, I hear another door open. I look, and I go through that. I walk right through that door effortlessly. And the door opened on its own, and it's like, wow, hallelujah, lesson learned. I understand. Lean not to your own understanding. Don't despise the chastening of the Lord. In difficult times, this is why people got to sit still in difficult times. Why? Don't be reactive. Satan wants you to be reactive in difficult times. In difficult times, you need to just sit still, go to the Father, look around and see where the door's at. What door's open? Instead of trying to open that door up, come on, trying to kick the door. Does that make sense? Somebody said we have to get out of our own way. Well said. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and he scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? Okay? But it says, but if ye be without chastisement, whereof are all partakers, they are ye bastards and not sons. Okay, so talking about the people you don't see getting chastened. So that begs a question: do you blindly trust the voices in your head? Okay. Do you scrutinize them? We talked about that earlier. And, going back to that dysfunction thing, operating dysfunctionally or operating in iniquity, like you're not, this is something, being a head of assembly here, I think for like 5 years, I've seen a lot of people come, seen a lot of people go. And I'm telling you, it goes right back to this thing. People trust in they self too much. They spent their life leaning to their own understanding. But how is their own understanding shaped? Psalms chapter 51 verse 5 says, behold, I was shaped in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. So, people are born in sin, shaped in iniquity. You were born into a sinful environment, and that shaped your mindset. People are born into traumas and dysfunctional situations and just messed up stuff and just mind molded in a jacked up way, and that's the confession that has to be made initially is, hey, you have to see where you were born in sin, shaped in iniquity, and how the iniquity is deep rooted, these deep rooted mindsets, thoughts, feelings, and emotions that's operating in us. You got to dig them out. But step one starts with actually acknowledging and realizing it's there. Um, let's see. Let's see what else I got. That's most of my stuff. Um, but you know, you can't trip over these stumbling blocks that are out there. You know, you we have to make that separation. You know what I'm saying? The flesh must die, the carnal nature must die, so the spirit can live. You know, you can't serve two masters. It's all through the book. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna read this to you real quick. And that is where I was talking about born in sin, shaped in iniquity. Well, I'm gonna go through that real quick, and that's KJV. It says, "Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh." And like I said, clearing that up. Let's read it in the Amplified, and then we're going to read it in the Easy Read, and then we're going to just break some of those words down a little bit. So the Amplified, woe, so judgment is coming to the world because of stumbling blocks and temptations to sin. It is inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to the person on whose account or through whom the stumbling block comes. Okay? Let's read it in the Easy Read version. Some things in this world will cause people to do wrong things. You can be sure that bad things will happen, but it will be very bad for the person who makes these things happen. Okay? And I'm just clearing up that word because when the Bible uses offense, again, that word is scandalo. That's used in that verse I just read. And that word, I'm gonna read the concordance Greek definition of it. The Greek word scandalo means the trigger of a trap or a stumbling block, while a sin against God or another person can be an offense. Taking offense involves so this is the because sometimes I hear people use this verse and they're mixing it with another definition. So the English word offense involves harboring resentment and bitterness, which hinders spiritual growth. But again, that verse I just read isn't that verse is talking about a stumbling block, and then there's Bible verses that talk about harboring bitterness and unforgiveness and all that. So it's two different things. But an example of that is a person who would cause you to fall out of the truth. You know, you got people telling you, I'm going to give you a perfect example of a stumbling block. People telling you, oh, you don't need to be in a community, and causing you to not be together with your brothers and the sisters and saints, when the Bible clearly tells you, gather yourselves together, O nation not desire. It causing stumbling blocks, and you see how crazy it is out there. Did y'all see that video? I just watched it earlier. This girl got on the train. She got on the train, sat down. She's on her phone, and you see this dude behind her. And the dude, like he's over there like this, daggone demons or something like this. And then he opens this blade, opens something up, a knife, and stabs the girl to death for no reason. Kills her. Man, these people, you know, and I told y'all that story. Y'all have probably seen many more. Man, these people are more and more every day. These people are more and more demonically oppressed and possessed out there. Why? because there's a lot of sorcery being practiced. Marijuana, weed, just you get out there in the culture out there, it's just subtly, demonically infused. Everything looked good, but it's, man, seething with demons. And the Bible clearly tells us, gather ourselves together. And you see Satan, he's laying stumbling blocks, and people are like, oh, no, you don't need to gather together. You don't need to do all that. You can't make this stuff up. That's a stumbling block. And what the word says, let's read it again. Woe unto the world because of offenses. For it must be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. You know what I'm saying? So it's real out here. Satan is a deceiver, and he's subtle, and it's like, we be looking at things going on out there and we're like, oh man, oh that's wicked, that's Satan, ain't nothing but Satan, this, that, and other. You looking at stuff outside out there in the world with these heathen. But going back to the stuff I just read through, these mindsets, look, if you're letting your carnal nature rule you, man, Satan can influence that. And if what your carnal nature has got you doing don't line up with book, ain't no excuse in the world, you being led by Satan. You see what I'm saying? He's subtle. He's a deceiver. It is ever so subtle. Like the word tells you that, So he's out there seeing who he may devour. Let's see what else I got. That's really all right, check this out. So check this out. I'll tell y'all this still. I'll say this. Because and this is the reason another point I'm gonna make, because people are like, oh, you offended me. Offense. And in their mind, oh, that's because you made me not feel good. That was an offense. That's this mindset about that. But then it's like, no, like when you rebuke somebody, it can hurt. The emotions could come up. And this is, again, going right back to what I keep saying. You got to separate that carnal nature from that spiritual, and you got to kill that carnal nature. Okay, check this out. We're going to read Acts chapter 7, verse 51. We're going to start at verse 51. Okay. It says, ye stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, ye do always resist the Holy Ghost, as your fathers did, so do you. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? And they have slain them which shewed before of the coming of the just one, of whom ye have been now the betrayers and murderers, who has received the law by the disposition of angels and have not kept it. So they're talking, he's rebuking the Sanhedrin. And it says, when they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth. Look, that's that carnal nature. Getting bitter, getting offended, offense, okay? Not causing a stumbling block, but being, what was the other word? Just harboring, getting bitter and upset because what? That truth cut them to the heart, okay? So I'm trying to show y'all the difference of, a stumbling block and bitterness. Because, like I said, that verse, woe from whom the offenses come, is talking about a stumbling block, a scandal, a trick to have you fall out of the truth. Okay. Or maybe it's something else. Okay. And then bitterness is just harboring bitterness. You know what I'm saying? Like they were in here. They gritting their teeth because that truth was cutting so hard, and they were so locked in with their flesh, their pride, and their carnal nature. Acts chapter 7. I'm gonna read it in the easy English version. Okay, so y'all can. So I'm gonna read that same one. Ye stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, you do always resist the Holy Ghost, as your fathers did, so do you. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? Let me see. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't have the easy read version for that. But, you know, another, but there were many times when Jesus, he was talking to people, man, and that word is a two-edged sword. And I mean, it cuts right through all the BS, you know, divides bone and marrow and all that. You know what the word says. And there were times, man, you know, that word cut so bad, man, they wanted to kill him. Okay. Again, because they done fed that flesh and given it so much strength. And just real fast, because I'm getting ready to wrap this up, but that brings us, how do you feed the flesh? How is the flesh fed? Each time you have a strong thought, feeling, emotion, or impulse, and you go with that, you're feeding the flesh. When you have a strong thought, feeling, emotion, or impulse, and you sit with all that discomfort and stress in you because you haven't exercised this muscle yet, so it's real hard, but you're like, you know what? I know I shouldn't just pop off like that. I'm going to just hold myself at peace. When you listen to that still small voice that say, I wouldn't do that, ever so silent. In the meantime, your mind, no, heck no, he ain't gonna do that. And you, each time you listen to that still small voice, it gets a little louder, that flesh gets a little quieter. You're starving it more and more. And that's it. That's spiritual growth and development. That's the front line warfare battle right there in a nutshell. That's it. And this is why you see some people grow and develop and some don't. Because most people, man, like them emotions get going, they're running with that. And you got some people, it's so strong, they standing on it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So that's real talk. Let me see. Galatians chapter 4, verse 16. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? You know what I'm saying? People will, make your enemy for telling them the truth, you know? Jesus whipped the money changers, you know what I'm saying? He told people things that enraged them, sent them into rages because they were, and yeah, you know. Let's see. Last year. Okay. But yeah, y'all, like I said, I wasn't gonna be on here too long. Just come on here for an hour, man. Praise the Most High. I've been praying, and man, He's blessed our assembly. We are extremely busy, and that's a good thing. I thank the Father for it every day. And I'm gonna tell you this too. Quickly tell y'all this. I know over there on Spiritual Combat, I've been on there kind of sparingly because we've been so busy, but the Most High has set things up where here in the coming days, weeks, and months, especially going into this dead season, you're gonna be hearing a ton from me. I'm gonna have a thing set up to where you'll be hearing a whole lot from me on a consistent, consistently. So thank the Father for that. But anyway, I appreciate all y'all tuning in to this abbreviated, reduced, Ask the Elect. The elect panel, the pastors are putting in work. They're putting out, like I said, go check out Pastor Dow's video, and that video Pastor Corey put out. Pastor Mir, if you didn't see Lions Den last week, man, if you ain't seen the last couple Lions Den, get over there and watch that. Check this stuff out. I mean, it ain't like they're silent. You know what I mean? But let me tell y'all the name of those videos, because that's what I was referencing. A lot of what I was saying was from those videos. So let's see. Give me a sec. I'll pull it up. I'm not gonna put it on screen, but what was that video Pastor put out? Hold on. I'm gonna tell you the name of it. It was. Y'all bear with me. Y'all are being very. Okay, it's called Always Use Discernment. He put it out a day ago, okay? And then Pastor Corey's video, and if y'all know it, put it in the comments. But Pastor Corey's video, let me see if I can find that. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it. But I think it's Pastor Corey's last video he put out, man. Check that out. It's on point. And the video is not about like that. What I talked about was kind of at the end of the video, but he talks about other stuff throughout the video. So it's a good video. So check that out. But anyway, y'all, with that said, man, I appreciate all y'all tuning in. I'm Michael Israel, and you're watching Ask the Elect on Hold Fast Wednesday, and shalom, shalom.
Joy down in my soul, you made me whole. You give me joy, joy.